friends, welcome you to my channel. In this video, I'll be telling how you can write effective prompt as a coder. Nowadays, we are using so many AI tools, starting from ChatGPT, or Claude, or Gemini, or as a software engineer, we are using different AI tools like GitHub Copilot, Cursor, to interact with AI. So when we're using this tool, the prompt engineering becomes an essential component because this technique tell us how you can write effective prompts so that your AI can understand and can generate the right output for you, right? So in this video, I'll be basically talking about basic on prompt engineering and what are the techniques you should know when you write a effective prompt for your AI applications or for our AI tools you are using, right? So if I will give a quick definition on prompt engineering, then these 4 points are best described to this technique. One is natural language communications, like you need to write your instruction in natural languages because they are these models or these agents, they are capable enough to understand your natural language. You need to write your requirement in proper context so that you are not missed anything while you are defining a requirement, right? Strategically you define everything so that there will be no ambiguity where your AI generates certain out. You structure your prompt, right? Iterative refinement means for like whenever you are writing prompt, then you are getting an output, then you check the output. If it is not fulfilling your requirement, then again you revise your prompt, you check the new output. So it's a kind of iterative task you do when you are writing a good prompt. Suppose to ChatGPT, I ask a very generic prompt. Help me write code for login API systems. So I write that. So as I have not given enough context to this prompt, it generates what it assumes. So it tells like here is the clean production style example of my login API system using Python, Fast API and JWT. This gives you user registration, password hashing, login, JWT token, protected route. So everything it provide to me. So instead of giving me only login API, so it give me all these informations, right? Starting from how you registered, how you log in, the profile, everything it gave me. So let me write another prompt. So here I mentioned create a secure user authentication endpoint in Express.js 4.8 using Bcrypt for password hashing and JWT for session management. Include input validation for email and email format and password strength. So here, I have given enough context. I have given like you need to use the version of Express.js. You have to use this library for password hashing and JWT for session management. And also here I have given you have to do input validations for your for email format and password strength, right? So if I write this, now you can see the output. So before it generates the answer, it goes to it think, then it generate a good output. Like this is with our structure, the validation also it generate. So you can see the difference, right? So this is a kind of engineering focused prompt, right? So if you see behind this tool, there are models, there are LLM models. Now let me tell you how LLMs are interpreting with these prompts. See, these LLMs models are a kind of predictive models, right? So they generate next tokens. Token here you mean those are words. Whatever you write in your prompts, so those are basically consisting of multiple tokens, right? So what they do, they tokenize your entire prompt or entire input into manageable pieces. So they split your prompt into multiple tokens or words. Then they analyze the context from the entire prompts. What you are trying to achieve in your prompt, right? So they understand the context. Then they generate the probabilities, like what should come next, like so what words or what tokens they should generate next. Then based on the probabilities they produce the output, right? So let me tell you an example. So you suppose write a Python loop to print 1 to 5, right? Then how they interpret, they first tokenize your prompt, like they will split into multiple token, write a Python loop to, okay, like that. Then they understand the context. They understand like the user wants for a for loop, like a basic code for a for loop. Then they predict, like there is a 70% probability so that I can generate for I in range, right? 20% probability that user need to generate a while loop, right? And 10%, so there might be some other options, right? So based on the prediction, finally they will generate the output, like since the probability of for I in range is more, so they will generate for I in range 1 to 6, something like that. Okay, so this is how they work at backend. Now, since you know how a LLM is generally interacting with the prompts, now let us see how AI applications are interpreting the prompts. The AI applications are basically, so they are using LLM models, but apart from that, they are using a workflow, or they are using agents, or might be multiple agents in order to take your tasks and perform a output for you, right? So to this AI applications, like your input layer is your prompt, right? You are writing a prompt and giving instructions to your AI applications to generate a response, right? When you are writing a prompt, they put it in their context layer, and that context goes to the AI to generate a response. But here, if you see, these AI tools are not sending only your current prompt. Apart from that, it sends 10 different things to the context, like whatever you write in your past message, those also sent to your context layer. Your the previous AI replies, whatever the AI replied before, those are also sent to the context layer. The system instructions which are basically created by these AI applications, those are also go to the context layer. The hidden metadata, so if you are uploading any attached document, that also goes to the context layer. And the document from your long term memory, that means, so if you have past sessions, that also recorded by your AI tools, and those information are also sent to the AI before generating a response. Okay, so you might have faced this problem, like I am writing the same prompt each time or multiple time, but sometime it provide a X result, sometimes it provide a Y result. So why it happens? Because you are not writing only your prompt to the AI. At the back end, the tool send multiple things, which basically impacted your response or your output. So here, most important thing is the context, right? As you know, AI models do not remember, so they don't have this capability. But they only treat the context to generate an answer, right? Whatever you write in your context window, that is a memory for your AI layer. So everything in the context window affects the current answers. So it is important you put everything on your context window, so that you will get a desired output by AI. But here there is a tweak, right? This context window has a limitations. You can put unlimited tokens or unlimited words in your context window, right? Because this model has a capability, like if you see ChatGPT 4o model, so they can take 128K tokens in their input, right? GPT-5, they can take approximately 400K tokens in the context, right? Likely Claude 3, Claude 3.5, Claude Sonnet 4.5, they can take 1000K tokens. Okay, so there is a limitation, since the advanced models or newer models, they have higher context window limit, but there is a limitations. Okay, so it is important how you can structure your content in a prompt, so that you can give the right kind of instructions, and you can get whatever you need from the AI. Now the another good part is how the AI decides what is important, like because you're writing a long prompt, so how the AI decide which part it need to be focused most, right? This is called attention mechanism by this AI, right? So attention decides which parts of the conversation matters for them. So what they need to ignore, right? And what are the influencer meaning, like what influences meaning is more, right? So they decide based on that. So if I will give an example, suppose in your past conversation you wrote, I am building a Python API using fast API, my database is PostgreSQL, and I need help writing async queries, right? And in the new questions you wrote, right, show me how to write the insert functions, right? Now, as I told, so into your AI applications, the the input is not only your new questions, it also consider your past conversations. Okay. Now here what it happen, the attention mechanism will decide right from this text from the context text, so it will decide you need a insert functions and you need it in PostgreSQL, and you need to use fast API and to write async queries, right? So how it will decide, as you know, first they will tokenize the entire inputs, the entire context data, right? Then based on your questions like show me how to write your insert functions, so it will predict there is a 94% similarity, so that you are asking for PostgreSQL, right? So it will give the emphasis of PostgreSQL to 47%, right? Similarly to other tokens also, it will have a kind of, it will generate a kind of score and attention weight, like 82% you might want async, and the attention weight might be 39%. Okay. So like this, it will decide like this PostgreSQL is very relevant and which should be included in your output. This async is relevant, which also need to be included, and the fast API is somehow relevant because it is the score is not more than your async and PostgreSQL. Okay, so it generate the output accordingly. So your end result will be focuses on async PostgreSQL insert using fast APIs. So this is how they work in behind. So now let me tell you how you can create a structure for your prompt, right? Whenever you are performing any technical tasks. So this is a kind of reference you can take. Like you divide your prompt into four different sections. Okay. So one is role and context. So you need to define a role or the context to the AI models. So like you can define you are a senior Python backend engineer with expertise in distributed systems. So here you are defining you are as a senior Python backend engineer, so that the LLM will only hit those patterns which is required for Python backend engineer. Okay, based on their past training. Then you define your tasks categorically. In bulleted points you define your tasks or instructions. Like you can define generate a function that do this. Okay, review this code for this. Okay, so you define your tasks properly. Then you write the constraints or the requirements, right? So constant requirements might be you write this way, like the programming language version. I need this should be in Python 3.11. Okay, and the version. Okay, the you also need the framework library version. So you can write. So I need this library and the version of this library to be followed. The performance requirement also you can mention in your constraint section, right? And if you need any security consideration, that also you can define. The coding standard you can define. Okay, then in the next session you can define the format and the output, like how you want the output. Like you can define I need include inline comments explaining each steps. You provide me the code followed by an explanation. So this is a kind of good structure. You can take it as a best practice while you are writing any prompt for your technical tasks. So now let us see if you follow this structure, how your prompt will be look like finally, right? So in the role you have defined, you are an expert Node.js developer specializing in RESTful APIs. In the tasks, you may ask create an ExpressJS modular function for request rate limiting. In the constraint, you may define like this: use Redis for distributed rate limiting, 100 requests per hour for IP, return 429 status with retry after header when limit exceeded, handle Redis connections. So you can write your constraint like this. So in the output format, you may define provide the code with JSON docs, comments, and a brief explanation of the implementation approach. So now, since you learn how to write a good engineering focused prompt, so you will not write like this, write a JavaScript function to fetch user data from an API. Instead of you can write an async JavaScript functions to fetch user data from a REST API endpoint. My requirement is requirements use fetch API endpoint. You can divide in the endpoint template, accept user ID as parameter, return user object or knowledge not found. So this kind of prompt you can create now, right? Thank you. So in my next video, I'll tell you some advanced technique of prompt engineering.